there's a competitive nature to John Lynch, obviously, which really shines. And I think it really helps the 49ers, and Shanahan's the same way. And one thing I do think, and this is a take from Steve Palazzolo from Pro Football Focus that I thought was interesting, and I totally agree with it. He talks about why sometimes when you shake coaches off of a coaching tree, a lot of them don't hit, and you see a lot of the Bill Belichick disciples, they don't go do great Belichickian things in the NFL, and you've seen that sort of with the Shanahan tree. And Kyle, even though he's a young guy, still has his own tree going right now. And Kyle Shanahan is an innovator. Bill Belichick is an innovator, and there's some coaches that, might do their own innovations, but they're really copying another person's scheme. And you're going to put your money on the innovative coaches around the league. And I think no matter what mistakes the 49ers might make personnel-wise, I think it's pretty clear that they got themselves a really good coach. So as long as he knows how to utilize the players that are on his roster, he can make some of these guys play up. And we've seen it with an undrafted free agent outplaying some of their draft picks at wide receiver.
That's true, and I totally agree with you. But I would just caution you to say that I feel probably like the Rams fans would have said the same exact thing about Sean McVay 12 months ago. Hey, at least we got Sean McVay, and he's going to keep us competitive, and he's really good. And now you look at him as like, was he good? And I think Kyle Shanahan is better than Sean McVay. But to an extent, Kyle still needs to prove that last year wasn't a one-off. He needs to repeat, and I think we all expect he will. But we need to see that, because still there is the lingering question: are the Niners going to pull a Rams in 2020? And we'll see. I don't think they will, but it's possible.
It's definitely possible. And there's something to it, because why does every single team that loses the Super Bowl have, get deflated immediately following?
Let's talk about that.
It's honestly,
it's a real thing.
And I don't know if it's all mental. I don't know if it's just one of those things where it's that hard to get back, no matter if you win it or lose it or didn't go at all. It's just hard to get there. So maybe that's part of it. But it's clear the teams that win have a better track record following the Super Bowl than the teams that lose. Do you have thoughts on why that is?
I think there's a lot of factors. I think part of it is emotional. They say, you just got to turn the page and get over it. Well, that's hard because the rest of the country hasn't gotten over it. You walk down the street and someone looks at you and you feel like they're still thinking about me losing in the Super Bowl. You go to Safeway, you go to the butcher, and when he looks at you, you still think that he's thinking about it. You still feel like you're getting judgment from the entire world, and that's not a feeling that you get after losing any other football game. You lose a football game in November, your fans know it, the other team's fans know it, but you doesn't feel like the entire world is looking at you or is even aware of what you do. But after the Super Bowl, that's a cultural event. The entire country basically takes the day off and watches it, and it's just hard to get over it. So that's the emotional part. And then I think that's just the logistical part. Like, compare the Niners 2019 offseason to now. 2019, they had all of January to prepare, rest, and the coaching staff coached in the Senior Bowl. Got to scout and coach Deebo Samuel, Dre Greenlaw, Justin School, Jalen Hurd in person and get a better sense of what they are. They couldn't do that this year. They don't know Brandon Ayuk as well as they knew Deebo Samuel. They had one less month to do everything. And they've never been on that schedule before. The Patriots have. I mean, the Patriots always have the short offseason. So when they lose the Super Bowl, it's like, well, what's really different about this year than last year? We always have 1 month less than everyone else. But the Niners, this is a new spot for them. I mean, they handled 2019 great when they had that extra month and they could go to Mobile. That's where it is, right? And scout the Senior Bowl, coach the Senior Bowl. Now, this is a whole different schedule, and it's a different challenge. I think they're definitely smart enough and capable enough to handle it, but it's new territory for them.
And it's interesting because immediately following the Super Bowl, everyone was really pumped up and was like, let's run it back, let's do it again. Then you lose DeForest Buckner, and then you end up losing Emmanuel Sanders, and then Joe Staley, after some time to reflect, can't go through another run. And that's one of the things that happens when you play that many games too, is it wears on you physically and then mentally. I think you're really excited to get back to it and you're competitive, but in the long haul, it's really hard to get back up. And
I mean, the lasting image for me from that game is Nick Bosa sobbing on the sidelines during the game. The game wasn't over. He was crying. It was like snot was coming out of his nose. Like, everyone's had a cry like that. I've cried like that. And that's like the deepest cry you could have. I mean, it's like from in your soul. It was like there was a death. It was like they had the rings fitted for their finger and they were wearing the rings, thinking about the parade. And then someone came along the sideline and took the rings away from them one by one. That's how painful it was for them. And do you ever get over that? I think you could argue that you never get over that, or not until you actually win the Super Bowl.
Right. Yeah. You got to ask Steve Young what it's like, and
Right.
not so much losing a Super Bowl, but just losing those big games and then finally getting there and the big monkey off his back moment. I mean, that's huge. So I think the only thing that can cure that is getting back and winning it.